Hello, and welcome to 5 for Friday for this lovely fall Friday of October 7th. We're enjoying the beauty of fall here as the leaves are in full bloom and the temperatures are starting to dip. Meanwhile, I'm hard at work, or fun, or both, constantly reading the news and thinking, would this be a story of interest to a small business owner? Does this new development signal a change that might be interesting to entrepreneurs? So, what stood out this week in my reading? Let's start with our first topic, cybersecurity. Since we are apparently all very bad at not responding to phishing, PH phishing, we are seeing new technology called zero trust architecture that assumes that we are the weakest link in providing or in protecting our own data. This is making some startups rich as VC funding in this space hit a record high of just over $26 billion last year. What are you doing to protect your data? All right, moving on to story number 2. Let's talk about those crazy Gen Z kids. It turns out that about 3/4 of them are ineligible for military service due to a combination of poor physical health, being overweight, having a history of drug or alcohol abuse, and mental health issues, along with a few too many tattoos. These Gen Zers also aren't happy if classes are too hard, but given the fact that they went through school during a pandemic, do we blame them? They are the ones most accused of quiet quitting. And again, can you blame them for wanting to have a life outside of work? It turns out that many of them are spending their spare time making money with a side hustle online. So beware, their quiet quitting might turn into full-on quitting if the side hustle pays off. These 17 to 24-year-olds are the first generation to be raised on smartphones and social media. And no question that's impacted their perspective on life. So try to focus on what you can learn from them. You might be surprised at their perspective on things. Give that some thought. All right, in story number 3, we move on to cars of all kinds. First, it sounds like we can expect a huge boom in EVs in the next few years, with the cost of making electric cars equaling the cost of internal combustion cars by around 2025 or 26. Not that far away. And driverless cars are still learning, as an interesting article in the New York Times showed, with a reporter going for a ride in the back seat of a very slow, very cautious driverless car. Meanwhile, in China, they're testing cars equipped with magnetic levitation with the use of rails and electromagnets like some trains use. Looks kind of funny to me to see a traditional car just hovering over the road without the wheels turning. Not sure what the selling point is there. All right, moving on to our story number 4, we're going to talk about bots and robots. That's bots, as in the non-humans who don't know what a crosswalk or a traffic light is, apparently, when we try to prove that we are human. There are several bot detecting services out there trying to track those bots down. But it turns out that sometimes people are okay with the bots elevating their online traffic levels, even though that is officially considered fraud. And moving on to robots, as in Elon Musk's introduction to Optimus Robot, who can raise his arms and water a plant, but not much else just yet. This year's demo was still better than the one last year where he revealed a human wearing a robot suit as his suggestion for what his robot might look like. A little crazy. All right, and Amazon is busy introducing or reintroducing some new robots that are considered home robots, designed to make your life easier at home. But no one's quite sure what that means, or if they want Amazon to capture all that data from the home robots. Finally, for story number 5, climate change is in, thanks to all the money designated in the Inflation Reduction Act. The U.S. is poised to be the world's largest energy provider with all the forthcoming investments in climate businesses. There are some news about cool recycling businesses, including Liquid Death Water. Have you seen their super cool cans? They're doing quite well. A new process for recycling plastic bags. And in Europe, a move to single material clothing. What is your business doing to address climate change? It's time to think more about that. And this week in recession, yes or no? No positive stories, 4 negative stories, and 2 neutral. Nobody knows what's going to happen. This hasn't changed since I started tracking these stories, so we're all on our own, I guess. Finally, I have one bonus story that's a follow-up from a past one on a futuristic planned city in Saudi Arabia called Neom. That city doesn't exist yet, and it's going to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games. I guess I better start building this utopian, futuristic place. And that's it for this week's 5 for Friday. I hope you enjoyed the stories and found something to think about for your own business. Thanks, and have a great weekend.